put you asleep. Don't be so dismissive. Tell me what's wrong. I could force you to tell me the truth, but I promised I wouldn't do that. Not to you. You are my servant, but you are also my love. As my thrall and your vampire, trust is essential to keeping our relationship healthy. So please, my love, tell me what troubles you. Your neck is sore? I must have bit down too hard when I was feeding off of you earlier. I'm sorry. No, I won't let you make excuses for me. No matter how agitated I am, you shouldn't feel pain from me feeding. Show me your neck, darling. I'll apply just a bit of lotion to help ease the pain. That's it, my dear. Hold still. I know it stings, but please try not to flinch. I'm almost finished. And done. For now, just lay down and try to get some rest, my dear. A bedtime story? Do you have any requests, my love? About my past? You want to know how I became a vampire? I didn't say that I wouldn't. I'm just surprised. Get comfortable. The story is a long one, darling. Cozy? Bundled up under your sheets? Head resting against a fluffy pillow? Let me fluff it just a little bit more for you. Good. Now our story begins. In a village, just off the coast of Sweden. Its name lost to time and common tongue. It was a Viking village, though we knew ourselves by another name, Sviar. Now, despite what you may imagine, this village wasn't just home to warriors and raiders, but to music and dance, to art and poetry, to song and good drink. It was a home with its own people and life. Every Odin's Day, we would come out and offer our thanks to the Allfather for our prosperity, for our home. We raised our mead and offered our hunt to the Aesir, in thanks for their protection. We sang, we danced, we laughed, and we loved. Most of us had to wear many hats. To borrow a phrase from today, for example, I was a hunter and a weaver. I kept our bellies full and our flesh warm during the harsh winters and excursions across the seas and channels. But I was not the only one that kept our village thriving. There was Tove. Her beauty was matched only by her ferocity wielding an axe on the Saxons. Finn, who took our hunts and prepared them over a roaring fire, regaling us with tales of our gods. And there was Astrid, our stonemason. She and Thorsten built our homes and carved our shrines to keep our land happy and safe. It came from across the sea. We knew not where it hailed from, nor what it was, but we knew it meant danger. In the middle of the night, it would come onto our farms, tearing the necks of our livestock, drowning itself in their blood. Viggo was the first human victim. Tired of seeing his livestock slaughtered, he took his blade into the night to guard them. We had to hide his sons from the sight of his corpse, mangled and impaled on his own fence. After that, we knew it would return for more. We gathered our weapons and set out into the cold dark, intent on finding the beast and routing it from our home. Our hunters, our raiders, we all set out into the night, making a pact not to break out and let our prey pick us off. That was the plan, at least, until I ruined it. I saw a wolf staring at me. Nothing strange on its own, but this one, it had a scar over its eye, a raven perched on its shoulder. Can you tell me what you think that means? I see you've been paying attention to my other lessons, my dear. Yes, at that time, I believed the wolf was a sign from Odin, the Allfather himself. I was hopeful that this might be a sign from the gods to lead us to our victory, so I broke formation, and I pursued. I ran into the snow, following after that wolf as it turned and fled. I lost the wolf after who knows how long, but heard the screams of my companions. I raced back, and that thing had killed them all. A dozen warriors armed and ready to fight. My family, my clan, brothers and sisters. By the time I found them, I saw it tearing the flesh off of Alfar's face. My foolishness had gotten my companions. It was a man, but not like any I'd seen before. It was so thin, I could see bone where there should have been skin. But despite that, it remained unfazed by the cold, its teeth thrashing like some kind of animal, a beast in the shape of a man. I knew I had to make things right as best as I could. If I couldn't save them, I would at least avenge them. So I took my axe and charged into the fight of my life. That thing was strong, despite its shambling form and weary frame. Its limbs mashed against my armor, fangs gnashing at my flesh. I swung my axe at its face, yet despite it spilling blood down my throat, nothing seemed to put it down. So I swung again, and again, and again. I don't know how long it took, but the sun had started peeking out, by which point the creature finally seemed to die. I was so relieved I didn't even realize my own skin was starting to sizzle. Yes, you've realized it now, but that creature was a vampire. We had thought it might be a draugr, but somehow this creature had washed up on our shores and made our land its hunting ground. Of course, I nearly passed out from blood loss, so numb I couldn't even feel the pain. When I came to, I found myself in a cave. I don't know who found me, but they saved my life. I remember, after looking around, all I could find was 2 words carved into the cave wall. Blood, written plainly, and sun, scratched out violently. I didn't understand, but soon after I did. The sun burned my hand when I reached out of the cave, and I was so hungry. Hunger that only settled once I drank the blood of the cave rats, building my strength to a state where I could properly move again. Eventually, I was able to set out at night, seeking my way back to our village. I don't know how long it took, days, weeks, maybe months, but I found our village, only to find it long abandoned. When the hunting team did not return, our elders decided the village was a lost cause and set out for a new settlement. I searched all across the fields for them, every inch of the fjords I knew. Eventually I moved far beyond them as well, sticking to the caves as daytime came, slowly coming to grips with my new abilities. Eventually, I found another village, who told me my clan had moved across the sea into a settlement near Wessex. So I set off by boat, hoping to hide under a cloak as I sailed across, my heart longing and fearing my return. You see how I am now, darling. Even with 1,000 years under my belt, I still need to feed on your blood, lest I go feral. And I spent so much of that time learning to control my hunger. Back then, if I found them, I feared I would become the monster that slew Tove, Vigo, and the others. It turned out, I would never know how things would have gone. Alfred of Wessex had brought his crusade against our people to my former brothers and sisters. By the time I found them, the buildings were ash and their skin was beginning to rot. In that moment I felt despair, but also the urge to live. Because I knew from that moment on, I was the last of our village. I alone was proof that we had lived. So I moved, sticking to the caves, draining the blood of Alfred's soldiers who wandered too far into the woods. Over time, I realized that I didn't age like everyone else. The consumption of blood would keep me young, healthy, and fit. In a way, it was like a gift, one that I would use to ensure my survival for the centuries to come. Alone, but with the memory I needed to preserve. And so, for the next 1,000 years I lived. I drank what I needed, but kept myself concealed. I made many friends and many enemies over that period of time, and I outlived all of them. When I began to forget the words of my people, I wrote them down as best I could. I sang myself to sleep every night with a different song. All to keep my friends alive. I know I've forgotten things, but I have to hold on to what I can. Even if I will never be forgiven for forgetting, I will endure. For my friends and family, for my village whose name escaped me long ago. I promise I will keep those memories alive, even if I'm the only one left to have seen them, even if all I can do is recount them to my silly, sweet, insomniac partner. The fact you've managed to stay up listening to me all this time is a miracle, you know. I suppose that's why I fell in love with you, darling. You recognized me as a vampire from the first time you saw me, but you said nothing. You still approached me with that wonderful smile, asking me to dance that night at the gala. You may have been clumsy, but I suppose having about 1,000 years to practice dance has given me a little advantage in that regard. You insisted on seeing me after that, even as I tried to push you away. I thought that eventually you would age, wither, and leave me behind. But you never once stopped granting me company, affection, or companionship, no matter what excuse I gave. I still remember how shocked I was when you offered your neck to me, declaring your wish to become a Thrall and join me in my life as an immortal. I was so stunned, I hadn't even thought to ask how you knew of my identity. I suppose that doesn't matter now. So I remember how hard I tried to dissuade you. I figured you were just like everyone else who asked before you, seeking immortality to escape from death. Another cowardly mortal looking to use me for their own ends. It It was your eyes that convinced me to accept. I had seen love like that before, playing out in the eyes of those I called my friends, my companions, the ones I met on my travels around the world. I remember seeing them in my village, during Gunter's and Brynhilde's wedding on a cold winter's eve. But never before had I seen someone look at me with those eyes. So, I made you into my thrall. Not a full vampire, but enough to keep you alive, as my blood bank, and certainly enough to ensure you won't die of old age, so long as you avoid the sun like I taught you. Even now, I still believe I made the right choice. You never knew my brothers or sisters. My ancestral home was not yours, but you were still willing to lie awake and listen. Hear of my village, my friends, my kin, and ensure you that their memory lives on through another person as a bedtime story. Thank you, my love. Well, a lullaby for my homeland? It's been so long I fear I may not remember. But how about a story? On one condition. Close your eyes, hold my hand, and try to sleep. I don't want you to feel exhausted come morning. Good. Now just listen to my voice as I tell you how much I love you. And tell you a tale from a land and people lost to time. Ekjavskapik. This is the Snow Queen. A wicked troll crafted a mirror, smooth and silver-rimmed in enamel that held an evil kind of magic in its glass. Anything in its reflection turned ugly. The most beautiful sunset seemed lurid inside it. People's kind smiles seemed leering. Fine days seemed to be building up to storms. Gifts seemed curses. The troll felt thrilled to see his mischief grow and spread like tipped ale as people caught sight of nice things turned terrible, and perpetrated the ugliness they thought they saw by repeating it outside of the glass. But one day, the troll was shining it into the eyes of the clouds, when a churlish wind, angered by seeming piffing and inconsequential in the glass, took umbrage and gusted. The mirror was lofted high into the sky, before dumped onto stones and shattered into infinitesimal pieces. Such small, sharp fragments flew on eddies, were swallowed into the air, and worked their way into human eyes and hearts. Now everyone afflicted saw things as only nasty. It changed what they saw and how they felt about everything. In a quiet little village lived two children, best of friends. The boy was called Kay and the girl Gerda. They had known one another since babies, had played in rivers and swung from trees, had harbored baby birds in crannies beneath the floorboards of their neighboring homes. Their favorite spot that autumn was a garden boxed in wood that Gerda's father had built. All sorts of sweet-smelling herbs dangled over its edges. Bumblebees hovered dizzily over the tiny blossoms, and most magnificently, roses dipped their enormous heads from bushes spilling with perfume and color. How beautiful those roses were! They seemed so bright and hopeful that had the children known about the troll's mirror, they could not possibly have believed its powers, for surely nobody could turn such things of beauty hateful. But Kay and Gerda did not know about the mirror, until one day, a chill, playful breeze, the kind that summons cooler days, breathed hesitantly on Kay's face. Ordinarily, this would be no great thing, but on this day, alas, it bore a shard of the troll's wicked, broken mirror.